the difference between IPv4 and IPv6. So at first, address format, IPv4 address format. IPv4 address format is 32-bit address that comprises binary digits separated by a dot. That means in IPv4 there are total 32 bits and there are 4 octet. Each octet has maximum 255. So this is the example of IPv4 address. So total 32-bit address is in IPv4. IPv6 address format. IPv6 address format is 128-bit IP address which is written in a group of 8 hexadecimal numbers separated by a colon. That means 128-bit IP address is for IPv6. So 16-bit group of 8 hexadecimal numbers. So in each group there is one hexadecimal. So total 16-bit number into 8. So total will be 128-bit numbers. In one group there are 16-bit. So for 8 group it will be 128-bit IP address. So total 16 bytes. That means 128-bit. Okay, see some difference between IPv4 and IPv6. First is address length. IPv4 is a 32-bit address, fine. IPv6 is a 128-bit address. Already discussed. Fields. IPv4 is a numeric address that consists of 4 fields which are separated by dot. So there are 4 fields, 4 octet, those are separated by dot. IPv6 is an alphanumeric address that consists of 8 fields which are separated by colon. So there are 8 hexadecimal numbers, each are separated by colon. Classes. IPv4 has 5 different classes of IP addresses. That includes class A, class B, class C, class D and class E. Okay, IPv4 total have 5 different classes. IPv6 does not contain classes of IP address. Number of IP addresses. IPv4 has a limited number of IP addresses. See, IPv4 is for 32 bits, so it has limited number of IP addresses. IPv6 has a large number of IP addresses. IPv6 has total 128 bit, so it will have large number of IP addresses. Virtual length subnet mask. So IPv4 supports VLSM virtual length subnet mask. That means here we can make what variable length subnet mask also. So that is VLSM for IPv4 address, it is possible. But IPv6 does not support VLSM virtual length subnet mask. Address configuration. In IPv4 we can configure according to manual and DHCP configuration. Manual is for particular IP address or intranet and DHCP is for random IP addresses. IPv6 it supports manual, DHCP, auto configuration and renumbering. That means IPv6 has more configurations. Address space. So IPv4 will have lesser address space, so it generates 4 billion. That means 4 into 10 power 9 unique addresses. And IPv6 it generates 340 undecillion. Undecillion means 10 to the power 66. So 340 into 10 to the power 66 total unique addresses. End-to-end connectivity connection integrity. In IPv4, end-to-end connection integrity is unachievable. That means it is end-to-end connection integrity means for one particular point to another particular point, there should be connection integrity, but that is unachievable in IPv4 address. In the case of IPv6, end-to-end connection integrity is achievable. Security features. In IPv4, security depends on the application. This IP address is not developed in keeping the security feature in mind. So whichever device will use IPv4 address, that device there should be security features. That means IPv4 address can't secure itself. In IPv6, IPsec is developed for security purposes. That means with IPv6 address only IPsec is provided for security. Address representation. In IPv4 the IP address is represented in decimal. Okay. In IPv6 the representation of the IP address in hexadecimal. Okay, decimal that means 10 bit, hexadecimal that means 16 bit it will take. Fragmentation is done by the senders and the forwarding routers. So in IPv4 address there are routers which fragment, and also the senders. At first what source and destination is there. Now the source will fragment the IPv4 address packet and it will send in the form of fragment to routers, and then router will forward to destination. But in case of IPv6, fragmentation is done by the senders only. Packet flow identification. IPv4 it does not provide any mechanism for packet flow identification. That means here we can't identify any packet. In IPv6, it uses flow level field in the header for the packet flow identification. That means in IPv6, we can identify particular packet that is provided in the flow level field in the header. Checksum field, the checksum field is available in IPv4. This checksum is used for finding out any error in the packet. The checksum field is not available in IPv6. Transmission scheme IPv4 is broadcasting. Broadcasting means in all the systems it just what broadcast this whatever networks are there, it will give information to all the IP addresses. That means forward the packet to all the IP addresses which are present. On the other hand, IPv6 is multicasting, which provides efficient network operation. But in case of multicasting, a particular group of network is only accessed and provided the total packets there. Encryption and authentication. IPv4 it does not provide encryption and authentication. That means here data is not much secure. In IPv6 it provides encryption and authentication. That means IPv6 data is more secure because there is encryption. Number of octets in IPv4 that is 32 bits, so total 4 octet. In IPv6 it is 128 bits, so total 8 fields are there and each field has 2 octet. So total number of octet will be 16. 8 fields into 2, each have 2 octets, so total 16 octet, and so total 128 bit IP addresses. So these are the some differences between IPv4 and IPv6.